Morning, Sharon. We haven't done it yet. I gotta get some tickets to George Ballard, and then I'm gonna go ahead and draw them. Some of them weren't able to make it, so I'll still go ahead and give them something. Oh, did you?
I assumed you were gonna do it right after the lunch.
No, we're gonna email it all out.
Oh, okay.
Right.
What's the price?
We got two $50 gift cards to Clinkers, and
Draw my ticket out.
we can get you another one.
No, that's fine.
Kenny, you ready?
Hey,
Kenny, you ready? All right.
y'all stand, we'll go, Lord, in order of prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you so much for another glorious day you've given us. Heavenly Father, everything we have, we owe to you, dear Lord. We owe you for our salvation that came through your Son, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I pray you be with us now as we go into our meeting. You guide us and lead us, and everything said and done will bring praise and glory to you. These things I pray in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I got 8 o'clock. Yeah, 8 o'clock, call this meeting to order. Let's see here. Okay, first thing we got is the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I will second that.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0. Next up, we got claims. Need a entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I'll make that motion to approve the claims.
I will second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3-0. Then acknowledgement of treasurer and clerk report.
It's been acknowledged.
Yeah. Then we got department reports.
Erica with EMS. Start out with the run volume for June. There was 288 runs in Princeton, 68 in the South Gibson area, 91 in the East Gibson area, and then the Owensville area there was 43. There was 83 transfers out of the hospital, being that the ER or the fourth floor. The Indiana Rural Health Grow grant has fully been turned in as of July 1st. They sent us a form back, and I chose to do the direct deposit route, which that gives us 100% to fund all supplies, fuel, that employee's salary, a vehicle, point of care testing, the teledoc abilities, and then laptop, anything that is included with that person. The only thing it doesn't cover is the insurance coverage. So we talked to the union, and them and I are working on a document to create since the funding is for 5 years, it would be basically that if the county doesn't continue that job, it will be removed and it will not be a full-time position anymore. That way the person completely understands whenever they start, the county may not be able to fund that. The only thing that we will have to ask for is insurance coverage for that person so they can have insurance and be part of that. That will be the only thing that we will have to ask for in that whole thing.
And that would be something that you will need to present to the council.
Yes.
To fund that.
Yep. It also covers all of their certifications, the grant, to get all their certifications to be able to go do community paramedicine.
Okay.
We were in the parade on the 4th. We have units stationed up at the fair for all of the events at the grandstands, and then we also have on-duty crews on a rotation sitting up by the Toyota Event Center. They've already set up there. It's from 4 to 10 p.m. That's what the fair requested. And then I was actually just talking to Kyle, seeing whenever our internet and stuff will be updated. He said he had heard a couple weeks ago some stuff, so he's going to let us know more about how to get it there. because it's really affecting our girls being able to adequately bill because the internet is so spotty. They're having a hard time being able to stay online on all the stuff at the same time that they have to do. So it's causing them a lot of issues this year.
We're working on it. I know they were dealing with permitting and everything to do the boring, and that takes a little time, so
Yeah.
as soon as it's all, they'll jump on it and get it hooked up permanently to
Yeah.
alleviate that.
There was a little bit of delay with our new truck because of the heat. They didn't want to paint the truck in the heat and then set it outside. So it'll probably be here in a couple weeks because it kind of got delayed with the heat.
Okay.
You do.
Otherwise, that's all I got.
Do you have many runs caused by the storms or flooding or anything like that?
There was a lot of vehicle rescues of people driving into the water, which if there's water, turn around, don't drown.
Don't drown.
Yep. We've had lots of heat calls here lately in the last couple weeks of people being out doing stuff in the heat. So limit your time out, take breaks, hydrate well. Yep. Try to stay cool.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're not here.
This is for the sheriff's office. You mentioned about the storms. We had a lot of deputies working during the storms and next 3 days even after that for security issues. And we did, our drone team did a lot of videoing of damage for the local EMA and also for the National Weather Service. So we've used our drone team a lot over the last year. They've been
Actually ran across Roger doing the drone
Right.
by Mackey. I was with the EMA out assessing damage out there.
Yeah, he did some drone work this past week up at Hazelton and Patoka. The rivers come out up there. And they wanted to get it videoed before the rivers started going down so people with the weather service could see what the situation was there. So yeah, they've been quite busy during that period of time. Also, basically kind of our staffing report. Sheriff does.
Thank you, Betty. Thanks, sir.
Basically, right now, we're fully staffed as far as deputies. We have everybody, we've got one will be going to the academy, 1st of January. Correction officers, we have 21 positions and 17 are full. 4 of them were in the process of doing backgrounds, trying to get up to 21. We've never have made that magic number yet, and we're trying though. Communications officers, we have 11 positions right now. We have 2 openings, but we are in the interview process with them. Community corrections, we have 1 opening. It's a case management person, and we're working on doing some interviews on that position also. Looks like our inmate number in the detention center averaged about 96 a day, and we're averaging about 30 a day. In work release, we have about roughly 30 also on home detention, and then we've been doing some new juvenile detention with home monitoring that's picked up. Judge Mead's been using that, so it's kind of great. And there is word going around that the juvenile detention center in Vincennes is going to reopen. That's a big plus.
Right.
If that happens, I don't know when.
You have to take them where now?
They go anywhere from Muncie, Indiana to Jeffersonville. Yeah, and it's, something happens in the evening and the judge orders them into detention, let's say at Muncie, which is not really a short drive, you got to drive them up there. Then they want them back in court like at 9 o'clock the next morning. So by the time you get them up there and 2 or 3 hours later, you're getting them back up and driving them back. It takes a lot of, you're tying up police cars, manpower, fuel, mileage. So that having that home monitoring situation available, it's not for everybody. I mean, you got some people that are that need to be detained no matter, you know, what the situation is, but you do have some that being on home monitoring, just like the adults, that seems to work out. So that's kind of where we are right there. So that's kind of our budget update.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George. Anybody else?
Remember, it's the commissioner's previous business, not old business.
Mag on up there.
Matt Holden with the Highway Department. I do want to report that as of Monday last week, we are fully staffed. Hasn't been that way for a long time at the Highway Department. So we are fully staffed now. We do have CDL training today. I think there's 6 without CDLs right now. We actually had a CDL trainer coming to the Highway Department, doing it at the Highway Department, getting them certified to take and be able to do their driving tests and get their CDLs. So we're testing this program to see if it's what works best for us. I know we've talked about several different ways we can go about this, having an in-house trainer being one of them. We're gonna see how this one goes today and how things go with them getting their CDLs. Chip seal, still planning on starting July 20th. The distributor truck's supposed to be here between the 15th and 17th. So we'll start that next Monday. We're gonna go really hard on chip seal. Didn't hurt us too bad as of right now, looking at the weather we've had. We would have had to shut down for the winds and tornado we had, and we would have to shut down for this water issues we've had with the torrential downfalls a week and a half ago. So we're able to work on those situations right now since we don't have the distributor truck yet. Mini excavator is supposed to be here at the end of the month. We did get our cat excavator, the thumb, and the rock bucket for it. It's supposed to be here at the end of the month. It'll have to go to Onions to get the thumb put on, but that piece of equipment has come in. We did order the 2 trucks for next year because they're out of ways. So 2 dump trucks for next year. The rest of the equipment, we'll talk more in budget season about that. So we did get most of the workforce CVR recertified. I've got a handful of others that couldn't make it that week. I'm working with Erica on finishing up. So
How many total miles of chip seal are we doing?
we're looking at about 80.
8,000 township, more or less.
More or less, yes. And then there is some double chip we're going to do this year. We're going to chip with 9s and 12s on some roads that we've struggled with keeping up. We've had to chip them every year, every other year. We're hoping if we can double chip, that we can hopefully walk away from them for 5 years, 5 to 7 years. I will be going up. I did send some guys up to Du Bois yesterday. They started doing their main line chipping yesterday. That went well with our old equipment. And then tomorrow we're doing some test stuff up at Knox. We're going to do some 9s and 12s double chip. So I should have it pretty well figured out before we get started. So
Good deal.
Sounds good, Matt.
I
Thanks,
like
Matt.
that you're working with our neighboring counties. I think that's a benefit for everything because we all have the same problems and
Right.
they try things and, you know, if it does work, they can share it. If it doesn't work, they can say, don't do that, it doesn't work. So
and
I
the interlocal
think that's
agreements
important.
with Patoka and Owensville is going really well. Very beneficial to them. You know, like when the first one come through was Patoka, and they would pay more money in shipping costs to get a stop sign than it was for the sign type thing.
Right.
So for us to be able to buy in bulk and then be able to invoice them, Owensville has already used it several times with stuff they need in emergency situations, with either cold mix or signage or anything like that. So those interlocal agreements are going really well. Definitely want to talk to the other cities and towns about getting those rolling too. Just makes everything legitimate. So
We're all in this together.
That's
So
right.
I think it's a good thing. So thank you.
thank you guys.
Thanks, Matt. Anybody else? Nope. All right, we got Commissioner Previous Business. Update jail demolition, Mr. Ballard.
Judy. I think my batteries died.
Get the jumper cable.
Go ahead. Okay.
There you
Well, they're doing the Phase 2 bids today at 2 o'clock through Garmon Construction and the construction management team. So we will have that price sometime later this afternoon. And then, but we will have the full amount number for the county council meeting on Tuesday. Even though I know we haven't approved it, haven't seen it, but we will have that full number then.
Okay.
So that's kind of the latest update. Kind of where we are on the jail right now, we're just kind of waiting on Phase 2 bids. And then having our meeting with the county council, that's the next big thing to do is get the approval, at least get Phase 1 started, and then hopefully get Phase 2 started just shortly thereafter. So that's kind of where we're just patiently waiting. Let me go ahead to the next item.
Yeah.
Don't see why not.
Okay,
go
well, all right. So the next thing is, I'm also the Community Corrections Director. Have been for this a little over a year now. And back in February of 2023, we found a little problem that we had, and giving an example of what the problem is. This past 4th of July, you know, the federal holiday fell on a Saturday, which was the 4th of July. And on the holiday schedule for the employees for the county, July the 3rd was the holiday, the Friday, obviously, before the 4th. So people that worked on the 4th of July for community corrections, and they are a 7-day-a-week operation, they are not entitled to the holiday pay because the holiday schedule shows it on July the 3rd. And we had that problem back in 23. The commissioners at that time fixed that problem. They said, okay, look, if you actually work the holiday and you didn't work July the 3rd, you actually get the holiday pay because that is the federal designated holiday. So we did the dispatch or the jail and the sheriff's deputies, office, but we did not put in the community corrections, and they are 7 days a week. And why it's taken this long to come to an issue, I had an employee say something to me about it and got looking in the minutes and from back in 2023, and no, they're not included in that. So what we're asking today is that they follow the same exact guidelines as the jail, dispatch, and the sheriff's office.
I make a motion, should I just include all sheriff's department employees?
Well, the community corrections is not part of the sheriff's department.
Okay.
They're an independent agency. We work together, and we are connected together, our training room, kitchen, all that's
They are
together.
different.
But they're funded by the state and by project income. They're not funded by the county.
Okay. Okay, that being said, I would like to make a motion to amend the holiday pay alignment to include the Community Corrections Department so that if an employee actually has to work the actual holiday, not the observed holiday day, they are eligible for the holiday pay. And I would like to make that retroactive to July 1st, 2026, so that we cover the people that worked this past Saturday.
Yeah, we're not asking to go back to 2023 or anything like that.
I'll second that motion.
Yep. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we got approval of number of policies on pages 81 through 90 of the handbook. That's Jason, I think.
Yes, the only policy you're preliminarily approving, which was introduced at the last meeting, is the whistleblower policy, which is policy number 801. So can I have a motion to preliminarily approve that policy?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3-0.
So we're now through the handbook and have preliminarily approved all policies. Kathy Walker with New Focus is going to be attending the next meeting remotely. She is who we had working with us from the beginning on this new handbook, and I'll have her available if anybody has any questions. I'm going to send out a notice to all of the department heads and the Teamsters to advise them that final approval is going to happen as early as the second meeting in July.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Kyle.
All right, I got Impairs Consulting Wireless Access Point at Kyle Wallace.
Come.
Yes, sir.
So when I was here last, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the wireless access point upgrade. And Chuck, you had asked me to look into if there's any other access points around the county that also need to be upgraded as well. So when I took a fresh look, I went out 3 years instead of just 2. I did find one additional to increase that count to 14. So that is where we're at this point for the wireless access point portion. Whenever I was also taking a look, I was also looking at other network infrastructure, and that's what the additional paperwork is. I did that on a separate quote. That's for replacing switches around the county. A handful of them have failing ports on them, so they need to be replaced before the rest of the ports go out. When I say port, I mean it's a place that one device plugs in. So we can no longer, if there's 48 available and 2 fail, we can only do 36 on that port. So as ports start failing, it's usually a telltale sign that the rest of them are going to go out pretty soon. But in addition to that, the access points that I have on the first estimate that we talked about before, that was, those can operate at higher functionality, but that functionality cannot be achieved with the current switching, just because due to technology, the switches that are in there are old enough that they didn't support the higher bandwidth speeds. So with just preventative maintenance of replacing older equipment that is failing and to bring us up to have the proper speeds to get the full benefit out of the new equipment. That's why I also included that second sheet as well. The reason why I separated them is the access point portion. I have what's called, whenever we do large projects like this, we do deal registrations with the manufacturer to try to get discounts and things like that. That pricing on the access points, the deadline on that is July 19th. So that's why I did the switches on the separate estimate. So we had previously talked about the access points. I was hoping we could at least get that portion approved today, if not both, but at least the access point portion, so we can keep that those discounted pricing.
Just a guess, how old do you think these things are?
The switches?
Yeah.
It varies. There are some of them in the courthouse basement that are probably pushing, there's at least one of them that's at 10 years old, if not older than that. The remaining of them are probably between 5 and 8 years old, just kind of varying. We've done some upgrades around the county and stuff. Whenever we first came in, we kind of did a fresh look at things, but it's really been several years since we've taken a look at everything as a whole. And with increasing the access points, I thought this was a good opportunity to try to take a look and get some of that planning for the future done now, and not waiting to put out fires whenever they go out.
And unfortunately, as we all know, 3 months after you buy a new electronic piece of equipment, it's
Outdated.
Yeah, that is true. But we have got our money's worth in life out of the ones that are in there. We really got lucky with all these storms and everything came in. Our batteries held well, and the surge protection did their job. We didn't have any major equipment failure over the last couple of weeks with all these storms. I got a lot of alerts that the batteries did kick in at the courthouse and everything, but it all did its job in protecting the equipment. But,
So you're saying the one that you want to
is the
detonate
12,
action on is the 12?
12.
correct. Yeah, that's the big one. That's the deadline's coming up on the pricing.
So do we make a motion to approve this and then present it to the council, or?
Well, we need to see if it's in our budget. No, we do have it in our budget.
Okay.
We should be good to go.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to move forward with the replacement of the wireless access points for a total cost of $12,534.62. And then in the future, we will look into the replacement of the additional switch gear and things that need upgraded.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Move forward with that and get back with us about the switches.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right. Next up, we got Toyota grant, change order number 1, Mr. Holden.
This change order is to bury the loops for the signals. We are not doing the camera system on these 2 intersections since we have so much issues with them. This is to bury the loops deeper than what was in the plans. This will allow us, when we come through with a mill and overlay in the future, that we won't have to replace those loops. We'll be able to mill 1.5 inches over top of them, put an overlay over top of it, and not have to replace the loops. So saving money in the long run and time. You know, if you look at the loop systems out there, there's multiple per lane, multiple lanes. So it would also be a timing issue. If we were to try to come into a mill and overlay, it could take multiple days just to reinstall the loops. So this is a forward-thinking planning. We did talk about it when we were going through the design. We all know how quick this project had to happen. It was something that we did not get in the plans. So it's a change order to get that done for future road work, basically.
So this is gonna allow us to be able to maintain the road longer without paying expense now to avoid expense later.
That's correct. And a much larger expense later.
Right, and it won't affect the sensitivity of the
Will not affect
loops,
the
traffic
sensitivity.
lights will all work good, everything. I'll make a motion to have Matt move forward with this.
I'll second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I will have another change order for that project coming down the pipeline, and that's for battery backup and generator hookups for the signals. We just put in the specs that it was NDOT standards. Well, NDOT standards is not battery backup and everything. All of our other signals have them, so we're gonna have to add those in. Not a big deal to add to the cabinets later. It's not something that's, you know, real pressing at time, but just wanna let you know that there will be another change order for it too coming down the pipeline.
Okay.
Thanks,
thank
Matt.
you.
All right, animal shelter, Sharon.
Good morning to
Morning.
everybody in the room. Good morning, good morning. I'm gonna scoot this over just a little bit here. Okay, so, update-wise, as of last evening, there were 35 dogs out at the shelter. 3 are supposed to be leaving today, owner reclaim kind of a thing. And fortunately, over the weekend, we only picked up 3 new dogs. We were really worried because of the fireworks, we'd have a ton more. So while there was there were 33 dogs at the site last night, there are quite a few other dogs that are out and about, so that doesn't represent the entire population that the animal shelter is currently responsible for. Because of the heat, there was a lot of people, and especially boarding facilities, that stepped up, that were willing to house the dogs through the heat, kind of like what we did last January with the storm. So as of right now, I think there's approximately 16 dogs and 21 cats that are out at various locations. So those are in addition to the 33 that are currently at the shelter. And those are truly just temporary for the heat only. And so they'll be coming back at some point, unless someone falls totally in love with them. But anyway, fingers crossed. And then there's an additional 44 animals, 23 dogs and 21 cats that are in what we call our foster to adopt. Because again, at a shelter, you can't let someone adopt an animal unless it's been fixed. So we allow the potential adopter to foster that animal till we can get those animals into the vets to get them fixed. But unless something totally falls apart, we have 44 animals that are destined for permanent homes. So that's a good thing for those particular individuals. Okay, so any questions on that?
No.
All right, I'll be getting to, I think the air conditioning was a big issue that was that was out there in social media. I'll be getting to that shortly. So what I wanted to do was take the opportunity today to respond to some of the things that are going on out there in the community, things being said. And first of all, I want to start by saying that a lot of the things that were said at the last meeting, I'm in agreement with. I don't dispute. I certainly do not in any way, shape, or form to dispute the passion of the people who spoke. They've been wonderful people. They've done fantastic work at the shelter. They've really made a huge difference. In addition to other people, Friday was phenomenal. Friday being an off day for a lot of people, the shelter had lots of people out there volunteering, and it does make a difference. But to go back and maybe give a little bit more context, or as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story, to some of the things that are going on out and about there, I did want to bring up a couple points. The first one that, the big, and it's big, it's huge, and this is going to initially address the new shelter. So the kenneling at the new shelter, lots of discussion about that, lots of different ideas on how that should have been done. Mrs. Tishner came to us. We had given her access to the architect and the plans for the new shelter. And the big thing that stood out in her mind, because of course she's a successful local business person and loves dogs and very passionate, was the kenneling system. Because we went with chain link fences, and we've told everybody all along, originally the idea was to have concrete blocks between each kennel. That's the gold standard. Well, that is just totally out of the question unless we had, I don't know, Taylor Swift were to give us $4 million or something. I don't know. That was out of the question. So we went with chain link. We went with the width we went with because that's what we saw at other locations. Not all locations, but a lot of locations. And chain link is what goes on at a lot of locations. So when Mrs. Tishner came in, she did a lot of work and had proposed to us, did a very nice, thorough job of proposing a different type of kenneling system inside. Right now, and the way it's been built, they're 4.5 feet wide and 10 feet in length. Her proposal, and she spoke about it at the last meeting, was that for an additional $18,000, we could replace the chain link system with what she has at her own kennel, which I agree is a better setup. So we took that, or she had already figured out the pricing. It was going to be an additional $18,000, and she very graciously offered to fund that additional $18,000 on top of what we had already budgeted for the indoor kennel system. So that sounds like a no-brainer, and it sounds great. Well, we took that back to our architect, and well, one of the first things we did is take it back to the architect, and we would be losing some length of the kennel. We would have gone from 10 feet long to 8 feet, so we would have lost some square footage. Could we have lived with that? Probably, but that wasn't the only thing we had to consider. We went to the vendor who had already bought all the materials, already started making the gates and things, and we were told by the vendor that it would be a minimum of an additional $25,000 to cancel that order, because while some of the material could be reused, it was going to cost them that they would pass along to us another $25,000. So in addition to the 18 that was going to be covered with the new system, we would have had to come up with another $25,000 on top of that. And then the other thing that was being considered is we were going to lose additional time by stopping that part of the construction inside of the kennel to come up with the new system. We'd already lost a good solid 3 weeks by going back and forth with vendors and architects and all of that. And as we all know, contractors they have a fine dance, a very graceful dance that they are always doing to try to coordinate this, then that. We can't do that until this is done and all of that. Anyway, it was at that particular stage shutting down any additional progress to the inside of the shelter. And if we had, in addition to finding another 25,000, losing some square footage, we would have also lost additional time on the new shelter. So all of that put together, the decision was made, we would go forward with what we had originally designed. I hate that. I wish we had been able to go back in time, but we were where we were. This was in January. Also, then the concerns brought up, which are legitimate concerns, was that by chain link fencing, you can have physical contact from kennel mates on the other side. Well, the main concern I think that Dr. Stewart appropriately brought up is what about the pass-through with any contagion and the contamination when you're hosing down, stuff goes into the next kennel. Well, the quarantine area is supposed to, the basis to put in a quarantine area is before any dog is put out into the kennels, they're going to go into a quarantine area, which doesn't happen now. We get a stray in, they go into the next empty kennel, so they have contact with their kennel.
When they go
neighbors.
into you get a new dog in, it goes into the quarantine space, and then what, so do you have a vet come out and test
No.
it to make sure it has?
Well, no, I mean, no.
They don't have cages for the quarantine.
I'm sorry?
There are no cages in the quarantine.
So it
The
just,
cages are empty rooms,
Well, right now, yes, they are empty rooms.
and they're out of money.
So the quarantine rooms, well, we weren't out of money, but we may be now. But, so, and I'll get back, thank you. The quarantine rooms were designed, you put the dog in there, and the dog's gonna be in there for a time period. If it's exhibiting any problems or diseases, you can address that. But most importantly, it would have time to be vaccinated for the vaccines to take effect before that dog is placed out into the kennel area.
so there will be preventative measures
yes.
taken before it's put into the general population.
Yes,
Okay.
and so while the concern is still valid with the chain link versus the concrete block, with quarantine, you've kind of hopefully have greatly minimized that possibility. Back to the thing about the quarantine areas, yes, right now the quarantine areas, we haven't bought any supplies or equipment for the quarantine area. That was budgeted to be done when we got to that point. However, because of issues raised, there was a significant donor who may or may not now provide the money that would have bought the stuff to do the quarantine. And also we've had people come forward. Dr. Stewart was one of them. She did a fundraiser, and my understanding with that was some of that was to help buy the kenneling for the quarantine area. Another issue that was raised, and it's a legitimate issue as well, is the way the money was spent. Maybe it should have been spent differently. Well, we knew when we built a new shelter, or proposed to try to help build a new shelter, we didn't just want a new metal building on a concrete pad to replace the old metal building on a concrete pad. We wanted all these additional things because we were looking at what's the best thing for the animals, what's the long-term things we need to do for the county for animal control. So instead of just building a building that would fit our needs right now and have these big spacious kennels that maybe house 40 dogs right now, what can we do to build the building so that in the future you can add on? So a lot of things were designed in as far as where utilities were laid and all of that kind of stuff, with the idea we'll be able to build these without having to tear down parts of the building to add on. Now that's long-term planning that we tried to put in.
And that's smart,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
to allow for future
Yeah,
expansion.
and that, a lot of shelters now, if you go, they have a little building here, they've got another little anyway, we wanted to avoid all that. But the real thing about the new shelter was, we knew the county would never have the funds to build the shelter like we thought it should be built. We wanted, as I always have said, a building designed to be a shelter, not just a building to house animals. So ME Corporation came in and through a lot of accrued donations over decades, our board agreed to throw in the money that we knew the county would never be able to do. So some of the things was the quarantine room, and that's on a completely separate ventilation system. That's very expensive to put in a separate ventilation system, in addition to the ventilation, heating air for the regular thing. We put in radiant floor heating. We put in a sprinkler system. We put in a small animal room. We also took our meet and greet room and made one of them into what is we call a storm safe room. So if the employees are out there, storms move through, there is a very nicely reinforced room that the employees can go into for safety. Automatic door waters, dog waterers, and most importantly, it's all air conditioned. And I am not throwing anything at any elected official, but I just don't think that those kind of items would have been paid for by the county, because there's just so much money to go around. So ME Corporation spent that. Do you want to criticize us for trying to do that? That's a legitimate criticism. Okay, so moving on to the current shelter, which we'll just refer to as the old shelter. There was a lot brought up, and I agree. September is kind of a point in time where things did change. The reason a lot of volunteers got involved in September was because we understood as a board we needed to go a different direction. We didn't like the way things were out there. Some of that couldn't have been controlled. It was even smaller staff than exists now. It was people who might have had skill sets in a certain area, but as things changed, their skill sets didn't match some of the new demands that the job required. So we went in a whole different direction. So all of a sudden you have all these new people coming in, and of course they're shocked. I mean, we were shocked. That's why we went a different direction. And it takes a while to get things turned around. Now, were there different ways to handle that? Maybe so. We did the best we could as a bunch of volunteers who put in tons of hours. We did the best we could. We had a person that was always told, and they totally understand this, they were hired to be an interim director. We've never called that person that we've replaced the director last September with anything but as an interim director. That was supposed to be short-term, and as things go, short-term turns into a little bit longer, and anyway, we're still at that point. So the interim director was just to keep things floating along, try to make improvements. All the new volunteers, that helped a lot, but the conditions certainly are not what they're supposed to be. But in addition to just the stuff out at the shelter, there was a bunch of other stuff going on behind the scenes. For example, accounting. And I personally do not believe that there has been ever in the past mismanagement of funds out there. There has been inadequate accounting of funds. Money comes in, it goes into an account, money's paid out for expenses. You can't run an organization that way, because at some point, as it gets bigger, and especially with the new shelter, we needed to get a much better handle and control on the accounting of funds coming in and going out. So one of our board members stepped up and probably has, I would call the amount of hours per week that requires is probably a full part-time job, and that's all done volunteer-wise. So that was a big change that was going on behind the scenes, was keeping track, creating more bank accounts so that every dollar could be accounted. This dollar's going in here because these people wanted it for adoptions. It didn't get mingled in with all the other day-to-day operations, so stuff like that went on. We had an audit done by an outside agency so that we could start fresh, and we did a bunch of other things. And at the same time, we were still desperately trying to raise money for the new building. So while September was a major change in management at the shelter and an influx of new volunteers, we were still scratching for money to continue to build the shelter. And then at the end of the year, we did get a nice TIF donation, and that helped out a lot. So there was a lot of things going on. One of the other things brought up is the lack of training and protocols in cleaning. Cleaning is a big issue, and it is directly related, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist, it's directly related to how many hands and bodies you have out there at any point in time. The example I give is last Sunday morning, when everyone else was having 3-day weekends, there were a lot of volunteers out there Friday, a lot less volunteers Saturday, and I don't know if people came and I wasn't aware, but I don't think there were any volunteers on Sunday. So we had 5 employees who came in Sunday morning on their day off, and they spent, I can personally vouch for this, they spent 3 to 4 hours cleaning on Sunday morning. And that was 5 employees, and that was the very basics. So it takes people. If you would have only had 3 people or no people, it would have looked horrible by Sunday evening. So we go back to the amount of cleaning directly related to the amount of hands out there. The training and the protocols, I 100% agree with Dr. Stewart. There needs to be tons more of that. However, we have this revolving door of people. That really isn't an excuse, more of an explanation. There were different people on our payroll Saturday than there were on Friday, because we constantly, and I think there'll probably be different people by the end of this week, because we have a constant revolving door of staff. So you might train this person. I'm sorry.
Back up. So the employees that were there Friday maybe are not employees Saturday?
We had an additional employee that started on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And now we have maybe 2 part-time employees that won't be there much longer, because, not because they're being fired, but for personal reasons. So we have a mishmash of people that can work more hours. Some people, I can work 2 hours a day, certain days of the week. Oh, that changed. I need to do this or that. Anyway, we've got that kind of stuff going on. So it's a constant mishmash, which it's really hard to get people together to train. I wish we could say on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, everybody be here so we can have training. And, you know.
So who does the scheduling of employees?
That would be the interim director.
So that poor person is riding a unicycle while
All the
juggling
time.
balls with
Yes.
plates on their head.
Yes. And while volunteers are phenomenal, and some are more trained than others, that certainly helps. But like Friday was an example. And thank this wonderful lady who came out there with frozen yogurt on Friday. And she gave all the dogs frozen yogurt. Well, some of us Friday night that were out there saw what was concerning. It was white stuff in some of the kennels. And vomit is an indicator of heat stress. So I'm terrified, and I'm texting various people, oh my gosh, here's a picture, what is this? Do we have a problem? Well, then Saturday, I'm told, oh, there was a volunteer out here who was given all the dogs frozen yogurt. And it wasn't just one serving. Oh, you poor thing, you want another one? Here, take another. So the dogs got fed too much frozen yogurt on Friday. So you've also got those kind of things going on when you've got a mass of people. But again, ultimately, it's better to have more people than less people, because the place looked wonderful. after all the volunteers. And they don't just clean, I don't know how many dogs got walked on Friday, so that was great. So you've got those kind of things going on. All right, and then the most recent thing is, what about the broken down air conditioning at the animal shelter? That was the big thing last week. Oh, there's no air conditioning at the animal shelter. What can we do? Well, that's only partially accurate because there has never been air conditioning in the kennel area at the shelter. Never, ever. So it wasn't that there was broken down air conditioning. There sort of was, because the air conditioning that was in the cat room and in the office and in the room where the incoming cats come in, that was not operating at efficiency. And there was a wonderful volunteer, and his wife came on Friday and spent a big chunk of the day. And he happens to work for an air conditioning company, so he certainly knew what he was doing. And he cleaned the window unit in the cat room, and it actually is cooler in there than it is in this room right now.
So
he did a good job.
Is the central air functioning?
The central air, he looked at that, and he said, and we knew it was working but not at efficiency. He said it needs a new outer coil. The inner coil needs to be cleaned really bad, and then explained how you have to pay money to replace the outer coil, you have to discharge the gases, recharge the gases. All of that will be a minimum of an 8-hour shutdown. Well, with the heat last week, we weren't going to do that. But what he did do has helped some. So it's not 100%, but it's better than it was.
I was going to say, the day I was out there, it was hot in
Yes,
that room.
yes. And some of the other issues have been addressed as well. For the kennel area, which has no air conditioning, what's done is what has been done in the past, but done, I think, a little bit better this time, is there was an individual who came Friday who had a window air conditioning unit that they donated. So while that gentleman was there that knows air conditionings, he put in a window air conditioning unit in the dog kennel area inside the building. That helps some. Our concern always is, anytime you plug something in, you're afraid. Is it going to blow a circuit? Is it going to continue? Because it's an old building with not the best wiring in it. There's been more fans set up. There's a lot more cleaning because of all the volunteers, so that helps out. The fans seem to be drying everything out quicker. A suggestion was maybe put in some dehumidifiers. I thought I'd check with Andy for him to see if putting some dehumidifiers in there is going to drag down the system, and those will be able to run. The real critical concern, though, is the outside kennels in this heat, clearly. So we have kennels on the north side of the building, kennels on the south side of the building. The north side, there are trees, and it's shaded most of the day. If there's any breeze at all, it's just warm. It's not sweltering. It's still not ideal. We should have all dogs inside, but we don't. The south side, however, doesn't have any shading. So there's been sunshades and tarps, and there's been donations by volunteers. There's been time donated by volunteers. Every time that we have a storm or wind, we have to go out and redo that, but that's fine. We can do that. Then, of course, baby pools for the dogs, lots of water for the dogs. And then we had an individual come forward who is, I think, going to, if at all possible, put in a misting system on the south side kennels that are in the sun. So that would be also a help, like you see at theme parks where you have the misters. And then in addition to all of that and the hours put in by the volunteers, we've kind of started a quasi second shift of volunteers who go out just to be sure that every dog is still okay at night, whether they're inside or outside dogs. Do a lot of spot cleaning, again, keeping up all the poop and the urine off the floor that adds to the stress. And then these temporary fosters I'd mentioned, a lot of dogs that went into the temporary foster for heat were designated dogs that might be less heat tolerant than other dogs. So our German Shepherds, we had 2 German Shepherds, long-haired, thick-haired dogs, those have been designated to go into temporary foster. So, and that's just the highlights, obviously. There's other things that we could talk about, or I would answer questions on. So what is the solution? The new shelter is designed to have air conditioning. I mean, it does have air conditioning. There's air conditioning right now down there that works. However, we need to get into the building. So, but before I finish on that thought, the solution is we have to have more employees. I mean, the volunteers can't work their regular jobs, or even if they're retired, they can't be expected to be out there all day, every day. We just need more employees. We need higher money paid to them so we don't have the constant turnover. But I think even as critical as more employees, we have to be able to have a permanent director. We've got an interim director who was just supposed to keep us kind of going along till we could get a permanent director. If we had a permanent director, we all know how that's supposed to work. You would have consistency. You would have someone who could plan long-term, not just handle 4 or 5 crises as they happen every day.
Can
Right.
I ask a couple
Yeah,
questions,
sure.
Sharon? So obviously, everybody here in the room knows that the commissioners and MECorp Corp have been meeting, trying to come up with solutions that works out best for the animals. Obviously, they're the
Yeah, they're
ones
the
we're
bottom
concerned
line.
about. So currently, for instance, let's say I want to go out there this afternoon and work a couple hours. But I get out there and there's nobody there, so I don't have access. Is there a way to put a lockbox with a key to do something so that if a volunteer that's, I don't know, I would assume that you have the volunteers register or give
Yeah,
you
they
their
all have
names
to
and stuff
sign
so
up,
that
yeah,
just Joe Blow can't go in there and do
correct.
whatever.
yes.
Is there a way to allow them to have access? I was made aware of an incident a day or so ago where several volunteers showed up, but the employee that was scheduled to be there wasn't able to be there. Therefore, they didn't have access to the facility to go in and do anything. How can we remedy that problem now until we get in the new future, and then going forward in the future with the new facility?
The new facility will have keypads on the outside,
Okay,
so
so
potentially you could
The
give out
registered
that.
volunteer could be
Yeah.
given a code or a
Yeah.
temporary code
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But for now, through this heat and everything that we're gonna, that, we're just now getting into summer, $25, you can go to Menards and buy a key holder. I just mounted one last week. Put a 4-digit code in it, it pops open, you get the key out, you have access to it. When you're finished, you put it back in, clear out the numbers. 3 hours later, the next person comes. Is that something we can do?
I think it's got probably a 2-part response. The first part would be that certainly volunteers who have been out there all along and know the animals and know what to look for, those people could be handled totally different than just someone Joe Blow. Because clearly, as you've already stated, we don't want Joe Blow just to show up because who knows? I mean, we had someone show up Friday. They wanted to this was another Facebook criticism. I don't know why you people would turn down a rescue from Bloomington that wants to take some of your dogs and cats. Well, as it turns out, this person had approached the shelter in the past. And for $10, they're going to take every one of the animals we're willing to give them. Well, when just a basic research was done, that is not a 501c3. So the big concern, obviously, is this a person buying animals to sell to a research facility? Right. So, those are those are the kind of things you have to obviously watch out for. But, so to answer your question again, first part, I think the people who regularly are out there, who certainly have the expertise, have demonstrated the passion, and specifically know each dog, that can be handled. We would have to think about other people unless they are with one of the regular
Somewhere,
employees or a board member or.
So-called supervisor.
Yes, yes, yes. So we would have to think about that. But I think that can be worked through. There's enough people that have been out there that could probably make arrangements to be there when some of those people are there.
I think that would be a very good first step in a direction. You know, and like I said, this is a work in progress, you know, and we'll get it all figured out. That'll work best for everyone. Unfortunately, it takes time.
Well, so I come back to, we are requesting some direction from, I don't know, the commissioners initially, ultimately it's the council. We've gone a lot longer than we ever planned to leave the interim director there. We, you know, if the county is going to have the director be a county-picked, county-paid person, okay, then we need that to happen. We can't wait until after budget season and as of the first of the year when money's available. That, I mean, these are the kind of things, you know, there's.
Understood.
Yeah, and there's other things like, you know, we're missing a vehicle because of the vehicle got totaled. I understand that takes time, but when you get call-outs, what are you gonna do? You know, the tree situation with the storm a couple weekends ago, thank goodness there were so many volunteers who had trailers and trucks and chainsaws. They took care of that. We put out a call to the county, hoping, and I know it's all priorities. If you have closed roads, you gotta send county crews out to that. But we still have trees that need to be taken down because they're gonna either damage the fencing or hurt a volunteer or hurt a dog.
Well, the county has no equipment to do that, so that would have to be something we would have to get estimates and hire a Sloan or a Whitledge or a
Okay.
tree service to come in, because we don't own a bucket truck or anything. We have equipment to
Sure,
get trees
and I
off of
understand
roads, but
that,
we don't
right,
have equipment to
right.
take trees down.
Right, it's just a matter of, again, we need direction. Should we go ahead and call someone to do that? Or does one of you who takes care of those things, is it Andy that needs to be called?
Matt, would you assess the tree situation out there and see if it's anything you consider imminent or dangerous? Get us a couple of prices from some tree services.
On the existing facility,
Hmm?
one that we can reach, I don't think the other ones we can. They're kind of just up there. My question is, do we know when the facility's gonna be moved? I know we keep talking about dates, but do we know when that's gonna be moved? In the new facility?
Well, that's one of the main things we need to know what we can or can't do with hiring a director. We need to know what the county's gonna do, because again, we had a donor that was gonna donate money to buy stuff. If the county's gonna take it over because of some other concerns on the other side of the coin, that donor may not come through.
There you go, Jason.
I think if we're in agreement, let us go ahead and proceed with hiring the director, and we'll work through the proposed MOU, the additional terms in the MOU, but at least we could,
Advertise and work towards a permanent director.
yeah.
Okay, and what kind of time frame? I know when there's openings in the county, it seems like it does take quite a while.
Yeah, we'll probably, allow at least 2 weeks, probably 30 days
Okay,
for resumes, and I think in the past, we put it on Indeed,
mhm.
so. and
Well,
it
we
on
put it on Indeed, but of course, we're probably a lot less salary offered than what the county's gonna be able to offer. And I assume that would be a position with benefits.
That is what has been discussed so far.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I think we've worked on a job description, if I'm remembering right, but yeah, we'll have to have a job description if we don't already. But yeah, the expectation would be that they would receive county benefits.
And then the other employees would not be county?
It depends on, how the MOU plays out, I think. So for now, no, but there could be rapid developments over the next few days or weeks.
Okay. Well, that would be a great start. There's other stuff we can talk about, obviously. Who does the director report to? Are they gonna be told, the shelters? I mean, I'm just going to, and I don't know how much is appropriate to say, but obviously, Emmy Corporation's main concern is with any county takeover, the big section of the MOU that talks about capacity of the shelter is frightening to those of us who have worked many years to make it a no-kill facility. And if the director's under county authority, and rightfully so, you tell them when you hit a certain mark, no more dogs, what do? Do you start killing dogs? I mean, that's the big fear of everybody, regardless of what side of all of this you're on. And there really isn't sides. Everyone's about the animals. I don't doubt that.
Regarding the euthanasia, I think that would be the lowest priority, but I think we need to learn from Bamberg County and Warren County what they're doing, their policies and procedures, and set those up, and not just throw somebody in there and say, okay, in 42, euthanasia day. There's definitely some ways to really help with that, and we can definitely do that. And I have resources for that.
I think we could even build into it.
Nobody wants the animals euthanized, like unless they're sick or hurt. So I think there's definitely some ways. And I think if you have studied enough, the word no-kill is very controversial because you have a 92%, everybody goes out the door alive. But at the same time, we just want the best for what our animals are. We don't want to have a cut-off day and kill 10 animals in one day.
Right.
Stacking them in cages is not convenient. Yeah. But there's definitely some ways to, and then you can know.
So Sharon, to respond to that, I think that the MOU can be updated to address the euthanasia component and when that would be kind of a policy on when that is considered. That as I'm hearing and gathering, it sounds like the capacity issue could be addressed if we had a permanent director in there that's able to look spend more resources looking for alternative placements.
Yes, I mean,
these
clearly,
animals.
the volunteers is the reason that there's temporary fosters and that, I mean, again, it's more hands, more time. I mean, they've done a great job. Dr. Stewart has placed some dogs that hadn't been able to be placed.
And regardless to what level the county gets involved, there is no desire to interrupt any of that. The volunteers are needed, they're wanted, they will always be needed. I mean, you can't hire 30 people to staff the place.
No, I agree. But you have to have enough people so when volunteers get burnt out or they're
Right.
on
You
vacation
can
or,
take care of things.
they've got people that can step in. And like I said, Sunday, unless some of them were out there, and I don't know if they were, they weren't, because they're out there all the time,
Right.
so I can understand. But, Sunday it was just the employees only, and they were on their day off.
Sharon, last meeting, there was people said there were some dogs out there that were not gonna be able to be adopted, unadoptable. What are you gonna do with those dogs? If we can't feed them forever?
No.
So I don't agree with euthanasia either, but if something's not adoptable, I don't know if it's a mean dog or what it is,
Right.
but,
And unadoptable is kind of a broad thing. I
Yeah, I
think
know.
everybody in here would agree that one person's version of an adoptable is maybe not someone else's version.
right, well, mine.
But there were two very senior dogs that we thought would probably never get adopted.
Right.
They had been adopted,
Yeah.
and guess what? They got adopted.
Well, you know, my thought is maybe like a mean pit bull.
Yeah,
You know, it's not gonna be adoptable. Nobody
Well,
wants that, you
right,
know.
right.
And we
No,
can't keep it forever and
Correct.
feed it out. and-
correct. If it's a bite case, there are
Yeah.
procedures
Right.
to,
You know, I don't
Ultimately-
want to see anything euthanized, but
Right.
still yet,
no, I mean, it's a valid point, yes, yes.
Okay.
And there'll be differences of opinion on
Yeah.
what is or isn't
right, yeah, now the
adoptable.
old dog, she was telling me, your secretary, treasurer was telling me that some dogs got adopted out that were old,
Yes.
which is great.
Yes,
You know, cause there's nothing wrong with the old dogs.
Right.
It's- May have a little more expense later on, but
yeah. They don't
we-
chew your
we're old
shoes.
dogs.
yeah, we're old dogs too.
Yeah, your time's up, sorry. Yes, yes. Well, and again, it goes back to volunteers and more staff, because the more time there is then to devote to seeking out
Right.
alternatives. I mean, there's senior dog rescues.
Yeah,
Well, obviously, there's not gonna be a solution right here now today.
Why the heck not?
Because I don't get the hammer, keys
Oh,
going.
okay, all right.
Um,
Nick's gonna figure it out.
So
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
work
make it work.
on the MOU. In the meantime, see what you guys can do with this accessibility
Sure.
for the volunteers so that they can get in there if and when there's not an employee available.
Sure,
And we'll
That's
get this
reasonable.
straightened out.
okay.
Yes,
May I ask a question?
sure.
Okay. What can we do to expedite getting the dogs moved from where they're at to the new facility? Where they do have air conditioning, they do have more room. We've got more room to put them in there. Cause right now, they're down there, it's hot, it's muggy, humid, and all that creates hardship on the animals. Plus, it creates having to have more people there to keep up with it.
I don't think, and I'm hopefully gonna speak for the three of us, that until we have a better solution as far as a direction moving forward, we are ready to occupy for the move. I think before we have the move, there needs to be policies in place at least working towards hiring a director, before we just take one situation from one building and put it in another building.
I agree.
So that's kind of our opinion. So we gotta get this all straightened out as to how we're gonna move forward before we move forward.
Okay, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for letting me,
thank you,
letting me
Sharon.
Thank you,
talk.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, next up, we got Animal Shelter, Christina Nolan.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
As Nick said, my name is Christina Nolan. I'm here as a concerned Gibson County resident. Before I go any further, I want to personally say I have recently met Sharon at a fundraiser that I had a couple months ago. And I respect you and your passion that you have for the animals. I know you've been doing this a long time. And this in no way is to discount what you've done. I really do commend you for your effort and time and dedication that has gone into trying to help the animals here in Gibson County. And you know, the board members, I don't, it's not here to bash anyone, okay? I just want to say that. But respectfully, I do disagree with many of the current policies, decisions, and lack of public transparency surrounding animal services. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I will say that my concerns are not personal, as I mentioned. They're about accountability, written procedures, public safety, animal welfare, and the county's responsibility to the residents and the animals of Gibson County. The strongest position is not to blame one person. It's to acknowledge that the current structure is not working and that the county must require transparency, oversight, and a written plan moving forward. I have many concerns, but one in particular I'd like to talk about today. Addressing the issue of a no-kill shelter. I understand the heart behind wanting to save every animal possible. And trust me, I am one of those people. Most of us want that. But a county animal control shelter cannot operate as a closed intake rescue while also being responsible for county stray issues, bite cases, aggressive dogs, injured animals, and public safety. No kill cannot mean no intake. It cannot mean the public is told that the shelter is full and that owner surrenders or stray dogs cannot be accepted. While there's no clear written policy, no public capacity plan, and no transparent emergency procedure for what residents or animal control are supposed to do next. The current county agreement states that ME Corp will continue to take in all strays within Gibson County and that strays may be brought to the shelter at no charge. That is why this needs to be clarified immediately. If that agreement is no longer being followed because of capacity, then the county and the public deserve a written explanation, a written intake policy, and a written overflow plan. I fully support life-saving efforts, adoption, rescue transfers, fostering, and reducing unnecessary euthanasia. But a public animal control shelter has to be honest about capacity and has to have a plan for the animals that continue to come in. The proposed MOU recognizes this by requiring capacity management, defining operating capacity, requiring notice to the county when it's reached, and requiring coordination with partner organizations so intake can resume as soon as practicable. I want to tell you about 3 scenarios that are happening right now at the shelter. Friday, and I'll say it's been many years since I've been to the shelter, but Friday I did go out there and volunteer for a few hours with the large group of people that were out there. And I seen 2 owner-claimed dogs in kennels. They had dates written on the cards stating when the owners were picking them up. One of which, from my mind, was 5 days from Friday. So there are 2 kennels that could have been used for a surrender or stray. These owners have claimed these dogs, but they're going to come back in 5 days and pick them up. They know their dog is out there in the sweltering heat, suffering, and they'll be back in 5 days. I'm not sure what the policy is on it, but, you know, I'd mentioned, well, now we're offering free boarding. Of course, that lies at the owner's hands, but there also should be some responsibility as far as how the shelter is handling it. Are there charges or fees incurred while they are being boarded at the shelter? The shelter should be demanding to have the owner claim dog to be picked up. Current stray hold is 10 days. I personally feel that's too long. The stray hold should be reduced to allow adoption sooner, to free up space, or even euthanasia if needed. 4 or 5 days is plenty. 10 days is too long. And I think if you tell the owner, well, look, you come get your dog now, or it's going to get adopted or gone, one way or the other. And I bet you they come pick it up. So then we have 2 kennels that are open, or the number's reduced.
Or a fee to board them.
Absolutely a fee to board them. However long they're there, they should be charged a fee for how long we're keeping that.
There is a fee.
Okay.
For if it's verified that it's an owner's dog and they say I can't get it till next week, they have to pay.
The owner themselves has to verify. They have to show that is their dog. We can't just let it go to Aunt so-and-so. But yes, there's a fee, and yes, they have to verify.
Okay.
So if say the owner couldn't come out, but say it was my dog, and have my
brother-in-law.
Yes, somebody in my family.
They still have to verify. We can't just turn them off to anybody.
But someone could call and say, hey, I'm sending, this is my dog, Chuck Lewis, I'm sending Kenny Montgomery
Right.
out Tuesday.
Would you?
Is that a phone call is good. I mean, because anybody can be anybody. And they
Yeah.
want verified proof that dog belongs to you, so that they're not giving somebody else's dog to somebody. We've had some incidences like that, and because we've had people that tried to turn in dogs that weren't theirs, they were their neighbor's dog. And the neighbor had no idea that the neighbor, so it has to be proved.
Makes sense.
And in some cases, because a lot of our dogs come from, not a lot, but there are enough dogs that come from arrests. We have people in jail.
Right.
One of the dogs that Chris was talking
Yeah, I'm sorry.
about is, that person isn't getting out of jail till today. So they had someone call on their behalf and they said as soon as he gets out of jail, he's gonna be out there. So you got, I mean, that's not the norm, but, you know,
Right.
you've got situations like that where the owner just can't.
But in the meantime, that person that's in the jail can't have someone else come get the dog for them, or?
But we have a program where,
Yeah, well, we have that opioid grant that we got
Right.
takes care of the boarding
Okay,
costs for someone who is unable to come because they're in jail due to an arrest. But
okay.
it doesn't take care of his
That's
case,
wonderful.
it's still
I don't, that's great. But I don't think that scenario maybe is happening every time,
No, probably
you know,
not.
yeah. The next thing I'd like to address, anyone's welcome to correct me on this, but, it has been, told to me that over 5 dogs need to euthanized right now. They are not tame. They've tried to attack multiple people. One feral dog from this pack has had a litter, and the mom and the babies are now staying at the new shelter. Another feral dog has become impregnated while being housed at the current shelter, and another litter from this feral dog is now on the way. Panluke. I'm not sure if anyone knows what that is, but it's, I'm just going to try to pronounce it, panleukopenia. It's currently at the shelter. Correct me on the numbers again, but approximately 15 cat or kittens have died or have had to be put down because of it. This virus is very common and very deadly and happens most often at shelters. It's highly contagious. It can survive an environment for up to a year. The current shelter is not clean. There are no new cages for the new shelter. There's no good way to keep things clean right now. When I was out there Friday, gloves were not encouraged, nor did anyone have on gloves or mention anything about cleaning their hands as we're touching different animals and cats.
gloves are on premises. The workers have been told they have to wear gloves, and they have to wash their hands between each animal and change gloves between each animal. I don't know what you saw, but the gloves are there. And secondly, on that pack, those feral dogs are not feral. We've been working with them, and they are fine, and they are going to be adoptable. One is already adoptable. Two are actually adoptable, and they're fine. We have worked with that.
Two are
They-
pregnant.
No, one of them. No.
There's only one pregnancy.
The other is not. And so that was misinformation.
Okay.
So there's one pregnant plus a litter, or there's one that's already had a litter,
She has had that litter.
but the other one's not pregnant?
The other one is not pregnant. And it's not confirmed that this one was by the brother.
Right.
She just came in pregnant,
Right.
so that was an assumption. It was also an assumption that they were feral. They were not. They were scared. I've worked with them personally. And,
Well,
there's a lot of miscommunication going on out there, just because nobody wants to actually look at the situation and see what it is.
I can tell you that every dog out there is reactive from being at the shelter. They, I mean, they're all barking, they're all scared, they're all in distress, so I get that part. But to address the pan luke thing and the cleanliness, no one was wearing gloves on Friday. No one mentioned anything about washing hands. This is a pandemic in progress. If it isn't already, all cats, every cat out there should be tested, and the remaining with the virus should be put down. This is my opinion, okay? If these cats get adopted and go home, the virus will spread to other healthy animals if they weren't vaccinated.
Once an animal contracts the virus, is it curable or is it?
Not very.
How easy is it to test for this?
What's the expense?
Yes, yeah, probably.
It is expensive?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The new building mentions quarantine rooms. In addition to not having kennels, there are also no sinks in either of the cat or dog quarantine room. Is that correct?
No, not totally. The animal shelter is not finished, and y'all are addressing stuff that have not been ordered, and those rooms were a blank slate, and that group of people that have brought their complaints were given the quarantine rooms at the request of Dr. Stewart to be able to do as they wished with it, and they have turned that down. They have not done anything. And the sinks will be placed. There is drainage systems in there, and there will be cages and things. But how can you say there is none when we haven't ordered them, and we don't intend to order them until these issues are done to find out who's going to pay for them,
Right.
and whether if any court loses the contract, why should we bitch for or put more money into it when, you know? But those facilities were arranged for. They are going to be there. Like I said, the other group that has complaints were given that, we met with Dr. Stewart, and she said that if, those rooms were done according to how they desired, then, that would definitely help things. We said, fine, go ahead and do it. Nothing has been done, nothing has been said. And we said, open slate, do as you want. And we've tried to accommodate a lot of those requests after the resistance of nobody, wanting to do things, and even when offered the opportunity.
So you're saying that plumbing is all roughed in and sinks can be installed in those rooms?
The sinks will be portable sinks, and yes, the plumbing is
Portables, what's a
sinks.
portable
We have
sink?
it so that they can be plugged in, so that things can be done, and then the sinks can be unplugged and moved over to the side. It's a very nice system. It'll work, it will accommodate space. And but those things have not been ordered because of this situation. It will, and the kenneling and the cages that they keep talking about, they can do with it as but they didn't say that.
We can't do
in
with
their
what,
presentation prior to this.
can't really do with it what they want, I don't think. I mean, the issue right now is there's no money.
Yes, there is money, but if we have
I heard
money,
there was no money.
why should we do it when we may be giving it to someone else?
Yeah.
They may have to come up with their own money to figure it out.
Well, I don't think it's
Well,
complete.
first
I
of
think
all, you're
it's
not
gonna-
giving it,
Yeah.
wouldn't be giving it to someone else, aren't you giving it to the animals?
Well, it's to the animals, but the fact is, we are responsible to donors, and we are responsible to donors and taxpayers who have gifted us, and you all sat on those committees, TIF and ARPA. You either appointed the people that gave us the money, through a very large grant processes, or you all were on those processes, and you all gave us a blessing when those monies were awarded. You all have been step by step all along. Every month, when Sharon came, you've seen the drawings, you've heard the progress reports, you've talked to the contractors. It's not that you all weren't informed. You all have been informed all along the way. I'm sorry I'm butting in here, but it does feel like we're kind of being stepped back on when we have put forth, and our donors, our volunteers, and everybody has put forth such an effort to give such a beautiful building for the animals. And things, is it perfect? No. Can it, is a lot of it be fixed? Yes. But again,
But once again, what I reiterated earlier, it has to be fixed before we occupy the
and
new
that's
building.
fine, nobody has an issue with that. But the fact of the matter is that options have been given that have either you all not been informed of, or have been turned down by the other group of ladies. And those offers were made with free will and everything, but I think that it's fair to say that all of the offers to even discuss, to discuss their goal, because I haven't really heard a clear goal that they have for what they want, and Corp is not there. I haven't heard their plan or their goal. So, you know.
I would say cleanliness and disease control would be the top two.
Well, and that's our top two too, but beyond that, it takes a lot to run an organization like that to be able to provide all of that. And with a 50-year-old building, given the monies that we have, we have done the best that's been possible, from September on. And the other thing is this group of ladies came in as volunteers. They had wonderful ideas, and we were so excited to have them on the group and help move us forward. And they have taken their ideas and basically used them. Instead of working with us, they haven't played with us, they played against us. And I feel like
That's a two-way street,
Well,
but
that could
we're
be,
gonna stop right now. Christina, you had the microphone. Have you pretty much said your piece?
Yeah, pretty much did.
Okay.
I did have, there are a lot of questions. I'm not gonna read them all. There's 13 of them. And I'd like to hand you all a copy of them.
You, please give it to Judy. She'll make us copies and, okay, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And then, we'll go ahead and let, Michael come up. Michael, we know there's issues. We know we're not gonna resolve them all. And we have some other things to take care of, so, I don't wanna cut you short, but.
I won't take long,
Okay.
Commissioner, I promise. Thank you for allowing me the time. To begin with, I'm not a resident of Gibson County. I need for you all to know that. I live just south of Gibson County in Vanderburgh County, and I actually have operated Saintly Pursuit's Large Dog Rescue for over 15 years. I have a boarding kennel under the name of A to Z Animal Care Specialists Incorporated. We are a 501c3. All the proceeds from the boarding kennel goes to taking care of the rescue operations, and we have capacity of 52 dogs at our shelter there. I came up here because of an interaction I had, and I wanted you guys to know about it. On Facebook, the word went out that animal control up here needed help because they didn't have the money, they weren't in their new facility, there was a long list of things. But what was frightening to me was that the weather forecast was calling for 112 degree heat index. And I was told that the air conditioning at the animal control wasn't working. I don't know enough about it to be intelligent, but I called Friday and asked to speak to the manager, director, whatever. That person's not here. They won't be here until next Tuesday, is what I was told. I've come to find out later that that's not accurate. And I offered our kennels, spare kennels, for the dogs that were up here to be housed through the heat wave and everything. And I presently have 6 of them. I think the 2 shepherds are one of them. But my big concern is that dogs being housed outside. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but that is totally wrong on every level, every front. They should not be housed outside under any circumstances, winter, summer, spring, fall, doesn't matter. Dogs go outside to go to the bathroom. Dogs are not the animals that they evolved from. They are not outside beasts anymore. And with a double coat of fur, 111-degree temperatures, I don't care how many kiddie pools or misters you put out there, that is heat stress and going to cause deaths. And my concern is for the animals. I don't mind, I'm sorry, this thing's in my, I don't mind helping out. I myself have been on the Animal Control Board for Vanderburgh County for a 4-year period. And I recently stepped off of that. And from what I know, and it's not much, I'll grant you, it's probably misinformed and everything. From what I'm seeing and everything, that you need a director, manager, somebody who's responsible and in charge, and they need to be in charge. And I'm going to suggest to you that you need sworn weapons carrying animal control officers on your payroll.
What'd you say?
Sworn.
Sworn, okay.
Weapons carrying animal control officers, ACOs. For the purpose of rounding up strays and for when you have a situation where there's a person goes to jail for whatever reason and there's a dog. You need an ACO to go out there and take possession of the dog on behalf of the county. It's anybody else doing it is subject to some civil suits. I'm just saying, and a trained ACO also can control the animal. They're trained, they know what they're doing. And the animal's going to be taken care of properly. Anything we can do to help, I mean, the rescue community in our area here is extraordinary. And nobody knows really how many of us there are or how big we are. And we talk. We chat. Sometimes not good, but we chat. If we can be of help, we will be. But I have never heard of a county who contracted out animal control to a corporation, 501c3 or not. And I don't know how that would work. I don't think it would work very well. County government and private business don't usually get along as a general rule. So thanks for your time.
Thank you. All right. Now we got new business, road closure, proposal letter for Duke Energy, Robert Lee.
Yes, good morning. So Duke Energy is entering into their final cover phase of their closure project. I was here last year, requested this county road closure. So on behalf of our contractor, we'd like to request daily road closures of County Road 950 from 7 a.m. To 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The period we'd like to start as soon as August 24th and it'll probably take us somewhere around 120 to 150 working days to complete this activity. Through the winter stages, we'll be restricted to working only when it's above 35 degrees. So that's where that discrepancy in time frame comes in, and just depends on how, if the weather's good, we're going to be working. So I have documents that show our traffic control and the location.
This is basically no different than any of the others we have done, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It's the same one.
Duke will provide all signage, everything needed, take care of the maintenance of the crossing and everything while it's in use, and when finished, turn the county road back to the county in equal or better condition than it was when you started.
That's correct. And once we complete this closure, I'll be back here with our plans to resolve the bond and have our actions at that point in time.
Final phase, correct?
Yeah, so this will be the final cover. So this will be And then we're going to address our borrow pit areas and make sure they're sloped as described in our bond and everything. And then once our contractor's done, we'll come in and finish according to what's in our bond.
I make a motion that we approve this Duke road closure for County Road 965 North and 950 North.
I'd second that motion.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, 3-0.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we got EMS confirmation of governmental entity status under IRC and 170C1. AJ?
I can handle this, I think. So AJ reached out to me. This came up in the context of seeking some grants from Walmart and one or two other vendors, and they are just, those vendors are asking for the correspondence that I drafted, essentially telling them that their contribution would be a tax benefit to them. So I would just ask for permission for that to be executed today. I believe that I previously circulated it to the commissioners. I know I've sent it to AJ and Eric, and they have approved it.
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I second that. And we got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, we got lease between Owensville, Montgomery Township Fire District and EMS.
That's for the use of the ambulance base that we've been using forever, but
Yeah, so now they wanna charge $500 a month.
$500 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
After, they invited us to be there, now they wanna charge us, so.
Okay. Well, they've been providing it for 25 years, probably at no cost.
Yep, except for all the items on the inside, we provide all that in truck,
Right.
so.
So I assume that includes all utilities, everything like that. That's just a flat fee, so
Yep.
$6,000 a year, basically.
I think it was.
Yeah.
500 times 12, 6,000.
6,000, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the lease between Montgomery Township Fire District and the Gibson County EMS.
How long is that lease?
Hang on.
Yeah, that's actually what I was getting ready to address, Nick. So I would like to counter with some limits on the duration of it, because it's pretty open-ended right now, and I want an out for us. I don't think they're gonna object to it, but it does not provide for an out mechanism if we decide to go off-site and do it elsewhere.
So like an annual contract?
Yeah, annual, probably, yes.
Okay, so we gotta just,
Just amend that a little bit.
I'll rescind my motion,
Okay.
and then
your motion can be to approve the lease subject to modifications that I'm going to make.
all right, then I will make a motion to approve the lease, subject to modifications to yet be determined by Attorney Spindler.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, I think we got one medical leave?
One medical leave.
Okay, we got one medical leave. Entertain a motion to approve that medical leave.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, 3-0. All right, next up, we got public comments. 3 minutes. Come up, state your name. Where you from?
I'm from Princeton, Indiana. My name's Randy Hall. I seen in the thing where they said the courthouse elevator's gonna be closed. And so how's the disabled people gonna get up there to pay the bill at the courthouse? Like if they're handicapped. That's discrimination for the handicapped, and you ought to waiver using the credit card for the handicapped people, so they can't, cause they can't get up there.
I would like to address that. We have all of us on the first floor have instructed the security guards that if a physically challenged person comes in, they're to call us and we will send somebody down and transact the business down on the.
Fair enough.
So-
And then, but I just wanted to address that.
Yeah,
And then-
it was taken care of, Randy. There was a lot of planning put into,
Well, I figured it was, but I just
you
wanted
know,
to make.
when we could actually shut it down, because obviously the
Right.
courthouse is 3 stories tall and wasn't designed for that, but, yeah.
Then the ambulance service, and there's a friend, you know him, he had to ride an ambulance all the way to Evansville, and he almost had heat stroke in an ambulance because the air conditioner didn't work. Now, that's not good. I mean, even the people, the EMTs back there were burning up because they didn't have no ambulance, and it was hot, it's like 97 degrees.
Well, I can comment on that. When it's 110 degrees outside, hard time for the back of that ambulance, any ambulance, to get actually cool off. So we actually use IV fluids and ice packs all the time for things like that. We also have had issues lately with the air conditioners, and there's been multiple the compressors have been placed multiple times. But yes, whenever it is hot outside,
But
everybody thinks an ambulance is like the most sturdy, best thing in the world. I'm gonna tell you, it's not. It's a literal aluminum box
Sitting in the sun.
I understand that too, but but when you put a patient in an ambulance, that air conditioner does not work at all, because he's a mechanic, and he said the air conditioner was not working at all.
Okay.
And you should never put a patient in an ambulance with no air conditioning in this temperature. That's just, you should just get another
So we
ambulance.
should let him sit outside and wait to go get patient care while we can cool him with IV fluids internally?
He didn't get cooled. He was soaking wet, and they had to treat him for dehydration and all that.
So he got IV fluids in the back of the truck?
No.
All right, okay. I can look into that report. I
You-
can't give you that.
But I'm just telling you what he said, and it was,
I can
and
look into that report.
Kenny knows him, and I think he owns a garage out there east of town. He had to go to Evansville.
That's patient confidentiality,
Right.
and we can't go
But
there.
I didn't say no names, so there you go.
All right, good. All right. Anybody else got 3 minutes?
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anthony Buckman. Over the past week, I've had the pleasure of taking care of an animal and her puppies. I was out at Oakland City with my wife. We were just talking about life and everything, and we stopped at a gas station, and there was a mama there that was absolutely skinny. And I'd like to show you all a picture. Now, I was met with animal control that told me
Pretty.
that they had to release the animal back to the home 3 times before they could make the people surrender the animal. Now, I think by the picture, we can all say that she's probably neglected not being fed correctly. I do believe that the animal control should have some sort of training to where they can see the neglect and also pull up their pants and do what's right. Instead, a little group of us got together and we got the owner to surrender the dog and the pups to us. The dogs are mine now, and I'm going to do what I can to get them adopted. In no way, shape, or form, and I understand where you're coming from whenever you say the building's 50 years old, but at the same time, turning animals away that need the help isn't right either. Now, I was told that it doesn't take 3 times. Now, I don't know if that's true neither. I don't know what to believe because I've been told so many different things at this point. But the fact of the matter is something's got to change there. It's not working. That's about all I have to say, really. I appreciate your all's time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for taking care of that puppy dog, or those puppy dogs.
All right. Any more public comments?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, entertaining no public comments, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.